Okay, well, we've really got the great and the good of RDK here, some of the very first companies to deploy and some of the most recent ones to deploy as well. So I'll introduce them. Steve, we've just met, obviously. Next to him is Fraser Stirling, who is SVP Devices and AI at Comcast. One of the original, well, they were the original driver for RDK. Then we have Pedro Bandeira, who's Director of Product Development at NOS. And Olivier Philippe, who's VP Entertainment Technology at Liberty Global, another of the original three who brought RDK to market. And then Christian Constant, who's the VP Product Development for Entertainment at Vodafone Germany. And of course that was Kabel Deutschland, became part of Vodafone Germany. So that's the cable connection. So the first question, and we'll start with you, Pedro, is, I mean, in terms of your new box, which was UMA or UMA, your sort of next generation box, you launched that last June, and it was the first 4K box built on RDK in Europe at that point. What efficiencies did you achieve with RDK from that next generation project?
Well, for us, looking at RDK, we see two major advantages. One on the hardware side and the other one on the software side in terms of the flexibility that it gave us. So on the hardware side is basically we had very long hardware cycles, and it was a very expensive process to actually get a set-top box in the field. Now with the RDK abstraction layer, it's a more even playing field. We talk directly with the SOC vendor, and we can transition very, very quickly from one set-top box generation to another set-top box generation. And we are actually, although we deployed less than 1 year ago, we are already working on a new set-top box or a new hardware platform to put in the field. On the software side, it basically gives us the flexibility to be very, very quick to deploy to the market. So we focus on the business side, we focus on the functionalities, on the services, what I want to deliver to my customers, and I can be very quick to react and to act there, and I don't need to be concerned, like Steve was saying, with the low-level stuff, with tuning the channels, with resources and so on, because that's not core for my business.
And I think I saw you quoted saying that you'd got software cycles down from 6 months to 3 weeks for some of your features. Is that right?
So yes, it was a huge improvement. So we were deploying on the previous generation of set-top boxes, we were deploying new software like once per year, two times per year if we were lucky. Right now, with the current platform, since June, we have already deployed almost 10 times. So we already have done software upgrades almost 10 times since that, both to correct bugs as well as introduce new features.
Okay, just very quickly, you mentioned a new set-top box there. Is that a client for your main device?
So we see with the emergency of DOCSIS 3.1 as well as fiber, because we run both networks, so we run both fiber and DOCSIS 3.1. We see an opportunity to jump to a full IP set-top box, and that's something that we have started working on, and we hope by 2018 to have it in the field. So still based on RDK, but a full IP set-top box.
Okay, but not a client to UMA. It would be in its own right a gateway that's all IP.
No, it will be on a UMA set-top box like the one that you have today, only with no cable front end. Okay. So it's for the customer, you will see the same product, but for us in terms of technology, it's a different technology. Okay. And we will leverage on the OTT side. So everything that we have done for many years now in terms of delivering OTT services to our customers with the same type of experience. So UMA is not only there on the set-top box side, but also on the OTT side. And the experience is exactly the same, the services that are available, the programs and so on. So we'll leverage on that infrastructure to deliver those services on the IP set-top box.
Okay, and Christian, your Giga TV box, you launched that in February. That was based on RDK as well. So just, again, tell us the efficiencies you got from the project and what you expect moving forwards, especially as you get it out there for a year or so.
Sure. So yeah, we launched the Giga TV 4K box based on the RDK back in February. I would give a more global answer to your question. I think we changed dramatically how we were developing products. And we moved to an agile DevOps kind of organization with software deliveries to the cloud, to the client box every 2 weeks. And in the end, we were able to launch more or less within the time frame that we had set out for ourselves. So compared to a lot of similar big project size that I knew from the past and that I knew from other operators, I think we were able, and that's the answer to the efficiency, we were able efficiently to stay within a real good solid project plan that was quite tough from the beginning, and that's something we're quite proud of. And I think the RDK is a part of that. I think I knew a lot of dramas from middleware in the past, and I was expecting some drama around the RDK because usually stories never turn out that well as they are told at the beginning. But I have to say that that didn't materialize. We in all the development that we faced, the escalations problems we had throughout the development phase, the RDK was never the issue. Okay. And that I think is a big credit for this. Okay.
Well, Fraser, you've been out there with RDK for a long time.
Yep.
I mean, over time, does the margin of gain diminish? I mean, is it like a really big hit at first and then slowly you achieve less with it, or do you keep on getting new benefits from RDK?
Well, yes, totally. I think we find we are basically now just patching. We're like the patch masters. So basically we'll have a release every 2 weeks to millions and millions of boxes. And it'll either be, there could be some bug fixes in there, it could be some features, it could be big ones, small ones, but every 2 weeks we hit that cadence. And I think on the video side and on the broadband side, it's every 4 weeks. So I think we still see massive advantages there, and I think a big part of it comes from building upon the data we get back. I think most people here, when we've talked, have said the same, which is that it's not like any platform, whether you get it from Cisco or RDK or Android or whatever. It's not just a case of going and getting something and downloading it in a box and then overnight you're just able to put software out there. I think the main advantages we see and continue to improve upon are the data that we get back that allows us to move as fast as we can. The only way you can move fast is because of the data that we get back is so rich. It allows us to make really good, educated and kind of, most importantly, objective decisions. It's not like waiting to hear how many people have called about a problem. It's like proactively understanding there's one there and being able to fix it. And guess what? Because you're able to release fast, you can do a patch 2 days later, or every 2 weeks there's code going out anyway. So we see from an NPS perspective, we just have a massive sort of hockey stick on our product from an NPS perspective, both in terms of RDK and obviously the guide that goes on top, and we only see that improving. So the kind of objective results speak for themselves from our perspective.
Okay, and you now have multiple set-top box vendors and SOC providers, obviously. Yep. Does it become any more complex or more difficult as you do that? I mean, obviously you launch with one box maker, one SOC.
Yeah.
Are there any challenges when you move on to?
Oh, it's like it would be disingenuous for me to say no. There's no overhead. Of course, there's some elements. I mean, if you have, say, you have a box. Ours are all got really exciting and super cool names like XG1 and XI something or other. You can tell the engineers named them, right? But say you have a single box type and you have 2 vendors making that box because the scale is big. It's not a case of you still have 2 builds, right, for that, because you have to manage that. And if you have like generation 1 to generation 2, it's the same spec essentially, but you change the Wi-Fi, then you've got builds there. So there are overheads as you scale, there's no doubt. But I think what we've been focusing on massively in like the last sort of 18 months to 2 years is how do we automate as much as possible, and we have a true sort of continuous integration. So the way that RDK works with your Wi-Fi HAL and SOC HAL and Bluetooth HAL, you name it, there's an abstraction layer. And actually, if you speak to Broadcom or Marvell or Quantenna or Qualcomm, all the big SoC people, they now use RDK to bring up the chips. And I think that's a huge advantage, because when they bring up the chips, they're testing to the HAL that we specify within RDK, which makes things quicker and makes things far more scalable and extensible as you kind of mix and match vendors to keep a kind of healthy ecosystem.
Okay. And Olivier, your new, your strategy is to have one box for the whole of Europe, which is what used to be called EOS and is now the V6 in Europe, in the UK at least. And as I understand it, that's RDK, and in the UK it's got TiVo as the user interface on top, and then in Europe you will have RDK with Horizon on top. Is that right?
That's right. So we've already deployed RDK in Central and Eastern Europe in 3 countries, but we're now intensifying our efforts with RDKV in order to work on our next generation platform. And I think over the coming weeks and months, we'll see an increasing number of contributions from our side into RDK. And coming back to the efficiencies, I think they are really twofold. One on one side is increasing time to market, in a sense getting all the hard engineering from RDK to get a product out the door faster in the first instance, but very importantly as well, mid and longer term, there's a wide variety of hardware variants that we have to support today and we will have to support tomorrow. That RDK is going to help unify. It's going to help, let's say, bring the system on chip and OEM stacks, to a common level plane that we will be able to very quickly deploy on and innovate on. So I think that's very promising.
Economies of scale would obviously be one of the biggest benefits you get from having one box and one stack right across your whole footprint.
Yeah, so the challenge is to combine speed and scale at the same time. So, as I think all of us, we are moving to a very agile development approach. The challenge is to be able to have that agile approach and be able to scale in terms of set-top box variants, and in our case, deploying in a number of different countries at the same time, and that's where RDK is going to help us a lot. So we're working hard on basically moving to the next gear when it comes to Europe on that side with RDKV.
Okay, and just fact check, I believe you're doing field trials for RDK with Horizon at the end of this year, is that right? And a deployment hopefully early 18?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we've already got RDK in Central and Eastern Europe, so we've upgraded to Horizon 4 in these markets, and now indeed we're already in field trial actually, and we're going to launch the first markets this year.
So that's on the new box?
Yeah, that's on the new box.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of the pipeline, Steve, just quickly, I mean, you must see the pipeline that's coming in terms of requests from people and code that's being put in. I mean, are there any gaps for Europe or Latin America maybe particularly that obviously need to be filled at this point?
Well, it's a continuous revolving question. And the way it traditionally works is the community gets together, anybody can make the code, and anybody can do the development. So how it usually works is if you're in Europe and there's a European requirement, if you're in Japan, there's a Japanese requirement, or in the US, whoever is leading that can work with the community, or they can just do it themselves and then contribute the code. And do it themselves doesn't mean the operator has to do it. It can be the operator with the OEM, with the SOC provider, or the system integrator. You can work together, or you can assign it to somebody. So it's continuously revolving. Are there any holes? I would say no, but it's a snapshot. Tomorrow morning, let's say for RDK broadband, we did RDK broadband, or actually the community did RDK broadband, and then someone said, I want to integrate Bluetooth. Community got together, boom, Bluetooth is in. Somebody said, we also need Thread and Zigbee interfaces. Community got together and put it in. So are there holes? I think there's just continuous feature functionality that people want. And that's just an ongoing work with the community.
Okay. Would it be fair to say the biggest sort of development roadmap now would be to converge RDK V and B in some form into some kind of devices?
Well, you have a little bit of convergence today because people are putting video products out that have QAM and IP, and you talked about pure IP. And in the broadband profile, there are feature functionality that is streaming, and it deals with IP aspects. So there's already some sort of crossover. Does it merge? I think that depends on the operator. Do they have a merged network interface device that does, maybe QAM, or it's pure IP, and it comes in and does your Wi-Fi services, your data services, and your video. People can put that together. We just don't see operators doing that yet. I think it's on the planning. But I think some of the other planning that's going on is we have another profile that, again, the community is working on. It's other devices in the house. So again, the RDK is a holistic software platform that has multiple profiles, video set-top box, broadband, and you can merge those. But we have additional ones. So there's the camera. So there's folks are working on the camera solution where you would have an RDK, whether you call it RDKC
right.
or RDK, you can't call it V. But so there's a new profile coming. And then people say, are there devices out there? There's fiber devices, PON networks. So there will be an RDK solution for that as well. So it just continues forever. And is V&B going to merge? Could be, but there's also other profiles just coming in as the operators ask for them.
Okay, well, Fraser, you've been out there with RDKB for well over a year at least, or 2 years, and V for a very long time. So you might be nearer than anybody to sort of maybe doing some sort of convergence or... I mean, what is your roadmap, especially as you've got smart home, there's lots of devices now, you've got cameras and motion sensors and all things like that, I mean...
Yeah. So it's like two questions. I think if I'm sitting out there or if I'm wondering why would you go to RDK, I think there's always like, well, RDK or Android or this or that, the other. I think like for people that are making decisions like we are every day, we are always evaluating what we should and shouldn't be doing. I think it's important to like look at the practicalities of it. And when we talk about convergence, I think it's easy to talk about like feature convergence because that's easy to talk about. But really the convergence that we are doing now and we see happening more and more is more practical convergence. For example, like your Wi-Fi on video and Wi-Fi on broadband, like it makes total sense to have the same sort of description of your hardware extraction layer for both, right? Because practically the data coming from a video device and a broadband device, one's a superset of the other, but you want the data to be coming back in a fixed way that you understand what's going on, right? And when you have those two things working together, you want to be able to do things like dynamic channel selection, you want to be doing band steering, all that kind of stuff. So that's where a lot of the convergence is, like at a more practical layer that actually has a more demonstrable impact on the customer experience than saying, like, do you think the broadband thing and the video thing like come together in some sort of Franken model or something like that, just because like it's something we feel we should do. I think across all the stacks we have, we've got a presentation that we show where, like going back to what Steve was saying, RDK is basically broken up with like a core system and then profiles that sit on top. Within that core system, you've got like drivers, Wi-Fi HAL, SoC HAL, data collection, logger, all the other bits and pieces that are just core to doing any software development for any device. And then on top, you've got profiles like things that are specific to video, things that are specific to broadband, things that are specific to cameras, and other kind of voice-related products and stuff like that. So I think a lot of the convergence is there already at the platform level because that's the only way you can truly scale, like I was saying before. I think like there is an overhead when you get new devices or profiles or SoC vendors and stuff like that, but it's your job in terms of product development and like keeping the customer in mind to be able to scale that in a way that it means you can still move at the same velocity. So a lot of the convergence is there now, for sure. And I think the IoT space and like from a strategical perspective, we see broadband being the platform, and that's just a fact, right? I think we've said numbers in the past in terms of how many subs we have on broadband versus video and stuff like that. And video is just going to be the killer app on the broadband platform. There's no doubt, and it is a killer app. People love the TV and advertising, numbers and everything still says it's the best place to watch videos on your TV. So broadband's going to become that. I do believe, going back to the question you asked Steve, RDKB is going to be as a main focus for us at Comcast for sure. How do we make video better within RDKB? And then, as we say now, we've got one stack that combines Thread, Bluetooth Smart, Wi-Fi, Zigbee, all within there. So any device can be connected to that central device in the home, and then you get all of that information to IP as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter what type of information is. Door window sensor, camera, motion sensor, other things, connected cat flap, you name it, right? Or video device, like it needs to get to IP quickly, because if you can do that, you can get to the cloud. You can get to the cloud, you can move fast, and you can do much better feature, traditional feature product development.
Okay. And Pedro, are you interested in RDKB? I mean, your DOCSIS company, obviously,
Yes,
broadband's big for you.
we'll be evolving our gateways to RDKB, and together with that, there is one main concern. So, like Steve was saying, it's not about the bandwidth. Yes, we are evolving to DOCSIS 3.1. It's about getting coverage anywhere in the home. So the biggest challenges is actually the Wi-Fi implementation, and guaranteeing that all the new stuff on the Wi-Fi side, all the advanced features that are appearing right now, that we take advantage of them to have this whole home Wi-Fi coverage.
Okay. And Olivier, companies like you won't become data commoditized, but we hear this fear that people could become data pipes, and you have to be a data service provider above everything. I mean, how could RDKB help you become more of a service provider, especially as we move into the sort of the advanced broadband, advanced Wi-Fi, IoT world?
I think that there's a lot of innovation going on the connectivity gateway, and where RDKB is going to help us tremendously is by deduplicating efforts when we want to bring some innovation to life on the connectivity side across a number of connectivity gateways. So we have to sustain a variety of them, may just be for the sake of staying ahead of the curve from a DOCSIS standpoint, moving from 3.0 to 3.1. And RDK helps a lot there, providing that abstraction layer where a piece of innovation can be developed and deployed faster on top of RDKB. So that's a big win. And of course, and that's also true for RDKV, that the other place where RDK is going to help us innovate a lot is by providing yet open community, but also with governance, because we need to maintain, of course, quality of service and manage the services. Now, coming back to RDKB, there's a number of areas where we need to, where we've got a lot of efforts ongoing, actually, along the lines of self-optimized networking. IoT is one of them. There's a lot actually that's going to be going on in the connectivity gateway, and also in relation with RDKV when it comes to moving to IP as well, in terms of the video delivery.
Okay. I'll ask you this, so a quick answer from you, and then we'll move on to Christian. But this world where we've got Google putting routers in retail and Amazon's Echo is becoming very popular, it looks like retail providers are trying to get into the home, which in terms of broadband service providers, they used to dominate that space, the sort of the customer premise equipment largely. I mean, does that concern you, and do you feel a need to sort of match their innovation and put your own digital assistants into the home, so that we could end up having an operator digital assistant, which might also be a Wi-Fi extender that goes into the second home, that kind of thing? Is that something you need to do, do you think?
So it's not concerning. It's I mean, we can partner with them in some cases. In some cases, we'll provide similar services. What they are not going to provide is a connectivity gateway and the network that goes with it. What we're progressing very much as well is on the Wi-Fi connectivity to provide the best broadband experience to our customers. But there's a lot more to it as well. So it's not really a concern from my standpoint. I don't know, Christian, what you think?
No, I completely agree with that. And I think some of the devices you mentioned are actually enriching the experience. So you mentioned Alexa. We've integrated Alexa just for fun with our GigaTV box. So you could ask Alexa to go to specific content on the GigaTV box, yet we have our own voice engine that we will be integrating on GigaTV, and so it's not either or. Sometimes we can benefit from the innovation that's also happening outside of our company. In the end, that's makes customers happy.
Okay, and just tell us what your ambitions are for RDK beyond video. Do you have an RDKB ambition as well?
Yes, I think we're looking very closely at that in Vodafone Germany. We are of course on the path of bringing DOCSIS 3.1 to our network, and in the course of that technology decision, we'll quickly make our minds up on RDKB. I think we're especially interested in, and I think Fraser, you mentioned those, how does RDKB help also make video better in terms of the quality of service, etc., the performance, the throughput. So I think there's some efficiencies here between RDK, B and V that are clearly visible to us.
Okay, now we've got time for some audience questions. I do have some more as well. If you want to think about them, if no one's got one right now. In that case, I'll just go down the row very quickly and just want a 20-second answer each, which is what you need to prepare in your organisation if you're thinking about RDK. So anybody that's out there thinking about an RDK project, what do they need to get right now, maybe 6 months or a year out? So, I mean, Steve, and then just 20-second answers.
20-minute answer. All right. There we go.
Steve can do that.
Yeah. So we meet with a lot of folks out there, and they ask that question all the time. So first of all, go do the research. Do you want to be your own systems integrator, or pick one? And that's any software project. And then what we recommend is you don't need an army. You need 2 people that we suggest. One who really, truly understands open source software, because it's a little bit transformational to the company. And the second one is a very, very strong proponent to the field operations, because this is a change to the field operations. And so that's the advice that we give folks. Go choose a great systems integrator, have someone who really, in your organization, full-time job, understands open source software, and somebody who has a really good connection into the field to bring this into the field. But that's almost any software project.
Sure. Okay, Fraser?
Probably 2 things are the 2 most important things. One is, I think, like I was saying before, don't expect it with any software stack, come and take it and then expect it to just work and be magical. I mean, genuinely, like every day goes by where we're having to change and adapt based on what we're trying to do product-wise. So I think number 1 is you have to get ready organizationally to be able to change. Field ops is one example. I'm more like DevOps is an incredibly overused, fashionable term, which is incredibly frustrating. Big data, the cloud, DevOps, you name it. But basically, like being able to have the people that are writing the code, supporting the code, taking responsibility for that, and understanding that being able to release software every 2 weeks is an incredible privilege that you can't take for granted. And the only way you can do that is because you've got the right organizational structure in place. And another one is get ready for the data. Like again, data is a huge reason why you can move fast. And if you're not ready for the data at the scale and getting ready to be objective with subjective people, right? I think you're just going to be caught up in the kind of the rigmarole of it all.
Okay, Pedro, and obviously, if you agree, just agree, and if what we're looking for different points now, if there's anything extra that he hasn't mentioned.
Yeah, just to reinforce Fraser's points. So automation, so we all talk about DevOps, but the major part of it is getting it done quickly. It's speed to deploy. For you to be able to do that, you need to have all your processes automatic. You need automation all across until you deploy. And then take advantage when you deploy of all the rich data that you have available to help you not only for future releases, but also for field operations. Because all of that information is also very important to save on calls, to save on customer support.
Okay, Olivier?
Yes, I wouldn't have a one-size-fits-all answer, because I think each operator has got its own challenges. The one thing I would recommend is to carefully look at the delivery model and make sure there's no gap in terms of, especially in terms of integration. So integration within the CPE itself from a software standpoint, integration with the back office, integration with operations, and making sure that the whole picture is well mapped out, knowing that there's a number of possible models. There's a number of RDK partners who can help, and I think it depends on the organization, the network, and there's a lot of parameters, but it needs to be, let's say, comprehensively thought through delivery model.
Okay, now I'll take one question after Christian, if we've got one. There's one down the front, but just wait a moment. So Christian, just give us your answer first. So
yeah, I think 70% of agile transformations fail because of management. And if I had read the statistic 2 years ago, I would have wondered why is that? And now I understand. It really going agile is a nuclear reaction across the entire company And it especially hits middle management hard because suddenly you have your teams being much more empowered, being asked to make decisions on a daily basis. Information doesn't flow that much upwards anymore, but it really gets treated in a horizontal way. So it really is a big cultural change. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it makes companies better, their services better, and increases the NPS for the customers, but it's a rocky ride. It's a rocky ride.
All right, thank you. Right, Garan, got a question. Just tell everyone else who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, CSI Magazine. Question for, I guess, Steve. I think for years now, people have accused, I suppose, RDK of just being relevant to big operators, as maybe this panel kind of shows. And I was just wondering, what are RDK management doing to perhaps kind of alleviate the perception of this and make you guys more relevant to the smaller service providers?
Sure. First of all, I think you have a pretty wide range of operators here. Big, small, that's not the issue. The issue is it a company that leans forward? Is it an innovative company? To what Christian said, can it handle a new modern software platform? I don't see it big or small. Big companies may want to do it in-house. A smaller company, I think, picks up the phone and works with a systems integrator. I think that's that solution. It's just like Linux. So, Linux, nobody really takes straight Linux, but everybody talks about Linux. They go call Red Hat, they go call Ubuntu, or somebody like that who puts a Linux solution together for them, no matter what size of the company. And almost everybody out there uses some form of Linux. So it's a little bit of an analogy. Just pick up the phone, I see a guy right there, call SPO, call one of these guys, and they'll do the integration for you.
Just to maybe have a go as well, I think it's an interesting, I think there's a couple of things. One is I think there's more people looking at RDK than there ever has been before. I think your point is like how many people are shipping. I think we're starting to see a bunch of people that aren't more traditional RDK developers shipping now, and I mean this shows it, and there'll be more stuff that's going to be coming out. I do though think that this is an inflection point a lot for, like, people use the word operators, but at the end of the day, like, there's a transition to IP happening, and I think it's no matter how much you look at software, whether you're a satellite guy, a cable guy, an OTT guy, moving, like, changing the software stack on the thing that's in the customer home is like not like a small undertaking. But with a transition and inflection point as we are across the globe now of the internet being able to deliver high quality video over IP, I think there's more opportunity now moving away from physical based conditional access to more DRM. There's an inflection point happening where I think that people have got choices now, and moving away to an IP video stack isn't like going from a traditional software stack for satellite, cable or telco. So I think there's choices out there now, and I think more people are interested, and that's why RDKV really is like there's cable, telco stuff there that's interesting, but there is a pure play IP video stack that we have deployed across millions of homes in the US that really could be used by anyone, and moving from that, what you have today to something more IP isn't as much of an undertaking because of just the general kind of challenges with moving to IP video anyway. So the truth will tell, the time will tell, but I think definitely an inflection point that offers opportunity.
Let me maybe just add one more little tweak there. We don't talk about it as enough, but there's companies, large OEMs, I don't want to use names, but large OEM that is using the RDK broadband in their retail product. Regardless of the operator there, it's in retail using the RDK broadband stack. And a very large SOC company has chosen to use the RDK broadband as their core software stack for that SOC. And so it's proliferating at different points. We just don't talk about it as much. So.
Okay, well, I'm afraid we're out of time. So thank you very much for our panel, and I'd like to give them a hand.